The only person you need to be living life for is you. And it's not selfish. It's that you make yourself the most optimal specimen to then give back to everybody else around you. You can't pour from an empty cup. So that is you need to take care of yourself first, in whatever that means to you. Because I ate breakfast this morning, because I lifted this morning, because I got dressed and took a shower this morning, I can sit here and have a conversation with you, right? And so that wasn't selfish for me to do that. That was I want to not have low blood sugar like that person did that you were training who couldn't do an assault bike, but it's like, I don't want to have low blood sugar because I want to be present with these two people who I care about. First thing that kind of comes to my mind is just like embracing authenticity. You're enough exactly the way that you are. I'm a little tired right now. You know, it's like my little midday crash. And in the back of my head, I'm like, Sophia, you could have been more eloquent. You could have been more this, or you could have been more that. And it's like, no, the realness is actually coming from the fact that I am tired and that I still decided to show up today. And I might listen to this over again and be like, oh, you should have said that and you should have said that. But all that's telling me is I now have a piece of myself that I need to love a little harder.
Is something standing between you and your happiness? It was for me. I had to face my depression and the constant negative self-talk. Therapy helped me realize I deserve to be happy. That's why this podcast is called I Choose Health, because I made the choice to heal and I want to share that with you. As a gift to you, we've partnered with BetterHelp as our sponsor to help you start your own healing journey. We all face moments when life feels overwhelming, whether it's stress, anxiety, or just feeling stuck. Talking to someone can make a real difference. And that's where our sponsor, BetterHelp, comes in. BetterHelp offers professional online therapy that's convenient, affordable, and entirely on your schedule. You can connect with a licensed therapist by video, phone, or even chat, whatever works best for you. Let our sponsor, BetterHelp, support you on your journey to better mental health. You can get 10% off your first month by going to betterhelp.com/iChooseHealth. That's betterhelp.com/iChooseHealth for 10% off your first month. Take the first step toward feeling better today.
As a teenager, I decided to live better, so I gave up the meat, eggs, and cheddar. At 20 and 30, I wanted more, so I strengthened my mind and my core. Living a life that is healthier and wealthier because I choose health.
All right, guys, welcome back to the I Choose Health podcast and the
I Choose Fitness podcast.
Guys, this is Andre. You know, he's been with me in a couple episodes, episode 14 and 24. And we have a new guest today, Sofia Swenson.
Hello.
Welcome, Sophia. How are you
Thank you.
today?
I am feeling good. It is cold outside, but I'm here.
Sophia, we're really glad to have you. And, you know, just looking at your background in fitness, also as an actor, dancer, I'm kind of curious, because we're all three of us are trainers. So I want to know how you got into fitness as well. Like, what made you interested in wanting to work in fitness?
Oh yeah, this kind of goes like way back, which is always a lovely start to one of these questions, because then you're like, oh gosh, we got to sit and listen to this. But let's see. So I started dancing when I was 9 years old, and I was started in competition dance at small little local studio where I lived, and then I loved dance. I loved it. And my mom told me that we were going to try out competition dance for a year. And she said, the second it becomes about the awards, we're done. I won an award that I didn't want to get. And I said, you know, like in 9-year-old terms, like, fuck. Like I wanted to get, you know, this platinum. And she's like, we're done. So shifted gears towards theater. I did my first musical when I was in 6th grade. It was Legally Blonde. That was really fun. And that's when I fell in love with theater. So movement has always been a part of my life and the way that I was raised. And so then from there, I got diagnosed with an eating disorder in 7th grade. And then that's when it really started to tank.
What was that eating disorder?
Anorexia. So I lost I was like 113 pounds, went down to like 87 within like a few months. And they told me I couldn't dance, I couldn't exercise, I wasn't allowed to exercise, I wasn't allowed to do that. And so then recovery was really up and down. It was not smooth sailing at all. I was still kind of dancing. I went back into dance once I was cleared, and then I started dancing at Point Park University. So I danced there while I was in high school. So I would spend half my day at high school and go dance at Point Park for like 7 or 8 hours, all while obsessively exercising. Going on the Stairmaster for hours, swimming 2 miles a day, and I had no concept that that was not something that actually gets results, and toned and whatever. And so then I got to college. Those patterns were still following me in college. And I initially wanted to go for dance, but then I knew deep down that was not going to be a good thing. That it was just going to actually exacerbate those behaviors, and that it was just going to turn up the dial on them and almost encourage them by stepping into an environment is just going to trigger them. Almost enabling those patterns like the concert dance world can do. So I got my degree in theater from Syracuse University. First 2 years, I was still very much in that recovery mindset. I was very socially stunted. I didn't really know how to interact with people my own age. And still was obsessively exercising, and then junior year hit. And my years in college was when recovery really started. That's when I started actually eating. I got my hunger back. But then I got 5 years of hormones that should have happened when I was 16 at 21. So now I'm surrounded in college and everything's hitting me. My body went out of control. I was bloated and horrible. I was really, really depressed. And then the summer between my junior and senior year, I went back home. And I got a text message from a, shout out Shannon, former teacher of mine at Point Park. And she said, I've gone through a bunch of the similar things you have. Weightlifting has changed my life. And I was like, okay, this is the last thing that's really holding on is the obsessive exercise. I sort of kind of got the food freedom, continuing to do therapy, but this exercise piece is still holding on. And so it took so much courage to hand over that to somebody else and be like, I don't even know what a row is. I'm gonna hand this over to you. So she trained me virtually. She was based in LA, trained me through that training app that all trainers use. And I started weightlifting, and exercise was exciting again. It was exciting. I could do different things. I could try different things. I started to see the thing that I was going for years, but never even knew that weightlifting was the thing that was going to get me there. And not going on the Stairmaster for an hour and thinking that that's going to get me a six-pack. So then I started weight training, and there I met my fiance, and he was a trainer at the gym that I went and worked out at back in Pittsburgh. And he basically taught me everything I know about weightlifting, in addition to all my little researches and all my little deep dives into different types of stuff that I'm interested in. And then I got my cert. I got my NASM cert, which, I kind of have a love-hate relationships with those certifications because they're missing a lot in those. They're not teaching you how to talk to people. They're not teaching you how to adapt to people. They're not teaching you anything.
How to recertify and spend more money.
And get CEUs and all this other stuff. And I'm reading this and I'm like, I'm sorry, a squat curl to press is not a compound movement. Thank you very much. Whatever. But I got the cert, I did the thing. And since then, I have continued to weight train. I trained at a gym and left that gym to go do a performing contract, actually. But weightlifting, has just changed my life. Please.
Sophia, when we were speaking about Tai Chi and how it helped you, I'd like to discuss going back to the eating disorder and how you transmuted it. Because you said a lot of things which really resonated, including getting out of that Stairmaster, I need to do this, into I get to strength train, and you start to unravel a plethora of patterns which are positive instead of succumbing to the ego bullying you to do X, Y, and Z. What would you say was one of the biggest roots, or getting into the roots of transmogrifying or shifting the eating disorder into this very healthy young person I see before me, this glowing, very high aura, lovely individual, healthy individual? Can you, because there's a lot of people dealing with this, and as I mentioned to you, in my past I dated individuals who had eating disorders. So I had almost every single disorder, from addiction, substance addiction, gambling, sex, but I've never had an eating disorder. That's why I'm curious if you could kind of put the jigsaw puzzles together, the mosaic, to our viewers, as to what really helped you go from being in this distraught position into right now this ever-growing individual I see.
And just add to that, like the psychology of probably what led to you even getting into that eating disorder in the first place.
First and foremost, I always like to say I'm not a doctor, I'm not a clinician. Anything that I say is my personal experience. Great, love that. Number two, eating disorders are incredibly complex. Incredibly complex. Yes, they're a very unique thing, because it is an addiction. There's a control element, there's a perfectionistic element, and oftentimes tied to childhood trauma or things like that lead you to this illness. There's also potentially some like DNA related genetic things, all this kind of stuff. Now, for me personally, the first transition was college. So being at home, there were definitely some dynamics at home that encouraged the crutch of the eating disorder to stay alive and well. And so I would say it was constantly this. And it got better when I was like, oh, but I can run. So I can just run. And then I injured my knee, so I couldn't run anymore. And then it's like, oh, well, I can swim. So then I obsessively swim. And then it's like, okay, well, I can't swim anymore because now I've gotten chronic ankle sprains in both my feet because I'm swimming for 2 miles a day. So long-winded way of saying, the transition was when first I remember sitting in a doctor's office and having them tell me that I was going to be hospitalized. And I was like, no. You're not hospitalizing me. I am going to get this under control. And so I started eating, and I wouldn't let them. I basically would not let them do that to me. And then from there, family, like really family support, good providers, and then starting. Honestly, it's like the thing that just keeps coming back to my brain is like sheer willpower. Like it was like I had to decide at some point that I was worth fighting for, because when you're in that place where it's like you have no friends, you're always going to a doctor's appointments, you can't do the things that you love, you always ask yourself, like, what's the fucking point? Like, why am I even here? You look in the mirror and you're like, I don't even recognize that person. I don't want to put fun clothes on that person. I don't want to put makeup on that person. But then there's that like tiny little voice in the back of your head that's like, there's got to be something better than this. That's a song from actually Sweet Charity, something better than this, or like there's got to be something better than this. And I'm just like, I have so many things I want to do. I want to be a performer. I want to be a mother. I want to get married. Like I cannot let this quite literally eat me alive. So the transition, I think, was like, it's not like healing for myself, because I don't like that. I don't like being like, oh, I'm healing for myself. But it was like, I want to give back, like I want to teach people again. That's part of what weightlifting and training is so incredible, because I found myself just naturally with people who have had eating problems and dancers who have had eating problems, encouraging them to challenge obsessive thought patterns. And just, again, the more you teach the lessons that you need to learn, so the more that I can reinforce something else in somebody else, I'm reinforcing it in myself. Yeah. And just people around me telling me that, like, this isn't who you are. This is not who you are. Like, you can do this. You can do this. And I'm serious. Like, I still have my moments for sure. I ask my fiance, like, he hears this so much time. I'm like, honey, am I fat? You know, like, and it's still there. It's still there, but it's old habits. It's still there. It's like, you know, you like look at food a different way. And
obsessive thoughts. I have OCD. When I was a kid, it was really bad. I mean, I had my hoarding, and then it got exacerbated when my grandma, one of the closest people in my life, developed Alzheimer's disease. So she would leave the stove on, the door open, and that would cause me to check everything, create a ritual. And even though it was mentioned, I don't know myself, anorexia or eating disorders, I've seen it a lot. And you said addiction. All addiction is the same. I know addiction very well. I scrutinize to get to the root cause of my myriad of addictions, and obsessive thoughts is definitely one of the quintessential things which are predominant. And you said also, you know, it's that transformative period when you transform yourself, and when you really allow yourself to go from being ill to thriving. Easier said than done, of course. Right. But it's one thing I recommend to people, at least I could wholeheartedly say, who are addicted to substances, is to really attempt to extrapolate all of the patterns which are responsible for you needing it, getting to the root cause of it.
And realizing it's not about the pattern. It's not actually about the pattern. It's the place that pattern is serving in your life. What is that protecting you from? What is that keeping you safe from?
The pattern doesn't exist without you initiating the pattern.
Right. And it's not pretty. Healing is not pretty. It is so fucking ugly and imperfect, and I also healing is not linear in any way, shape, or form, and I still very much consider myself healing. Both I'm still in therapy. I'm still, constantly talking about this stuff. And I find that the more it's when you start tackling the eating disorder is a great crutch, because you have a pressing medical issue that you have to face, or else this person will not survive. So it's a really great distraction from everything else that's happening over here.
Healing's not pretty. Right. And just to give a physical metaphor, when you cut yourself, when it starts to scab, it's ugly. It's an ugly scab, but it's necessary. Yeah. And then eventually, you might get a scar, which I, for instance, I have a lot of scars on me, and I find all of them to be kind of like a battle scar. Each one has its own story. Each one has its own lesson involved. So internally also, when you're going through this metamorphosis, which you did, and you said, you mentioned to your boyfriend once in a while, am I fat? Am I fat? So those patterns are still there. So you're still healing. And sometimes I've helped people, because I'm a breathwork coach and a meditation coach, people who are very deep into addiction and they want to jump that mountain in one swoop. I tell them there's a great saying from Lao Tzu, the great philosopher: the 10,000-mile journey starts with a single step.
Correct.
Enjoy the journey and the destination.
I'm so destination.
And then you realize when you get to the destination, 2 more destinations open up. Yeah. Because you're never plateauing yourself. And one thing I could give you, any advice, and again, not from eating disorder, but from a substance disorder, is enjoy thoroughly all the progress you're making.
Yeah.
Really concentrate on the gratitude. Be grateful for yourself, for going through it. A lot of people, sadly, don't make it out of that pattern, that rabbit hole, that loophole. So kudos to you for getting out of something that's incredibly complex.
Well, thank you. It's funny too, is you think it's aha, yes, I got that out of the way, I'm good, I can move on with my life. And then it'll come up in points of stress. And it's it doesn't the anxiety doesn't go away for me. The anxiety doesn't go away. The little thoughts in the back of your head they're not like dust you sweep up and throw in the trash and then the trash is gone. It is something you just get really in tune with handling it and being like, oh wow, I might be looking at my body a little aggressively or not so kindly today. What is actually going on right now? What's stressing me out? What is oh, wait a second, someone did mention something yesterday that was particularly triggering from this thing in my past, so now I'm going back to an old pattern because it's comfortable, because it's familiar. And then you shift it in twofold. One, you don't identify with the thought and the feeling anymore. This is not who I am, this is something that's happening. And it's like a little, I think about like Cosmo and Wanda from like the Fairly Odd Parents. Like they're just like right there, they're talking to you. It's like, hey, kindly hold on, and it's like, so that's twofold. That's number one. So you stop identifying with the thought or try to focus on looking at the thought for what it is. And then you shift from the disidentification, de-identification to compassion. So now you're, instead of, oh, that thought is correct, it's, what is that telling me and how can I be kind to myself right now? So if I am, you're ugly today, Sophia. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I remember I looked at my bank account yesterday and I got nervous looking at my credit card bill and I have lots of financial stress. That's probably linked to that. Or I maybe had a hard conversation with someone yesterday. So knowing that, and I like to kind of watch it like a little flow chart. Knowing that, what is the next right step? The next right step is for me to either, can I handle addressing the stress right now? Maybe not. Okay, maybe I put the stress on the back burner and I go take myself out for a cup of coffee, and then you just become like in tune with the inner workings of your brain. Blessing and a curse, I'm very constantly thinking, constantly analyzing. Even right now as I'm having this conversation, I'm having it from 3 points of view. What is this person? How are you receiving what I'm saying? What I'm actually thinking, what's coming out of my mouth, and then the third person point of view about everything and all of this going on. So again, blessing and a curse.
I wonder as well, and I think you said it, that sometimes those thoughts stay there as kind of like a crux, right? Because I think as we were talking a couple months ago about like my struggles with suicide, right? Like those suicidal thoughts, it's always been somewhat of a crux, right? So whenever I find myself in a situation, I kind of go back to suicidal thinking and suicidal ideation, and it's like, all right, you kind of have to go back to like, okay, I'm on a path, I'm on this journey, and I'm transforming, I'm changing, and I'm supposed to be a new person every day, right? So I always try to keep myself back on that path. Right. And you also said something about therapy, and I know that you're doing dance and acting. Would you ever find those two things to ever serve as an additional form of therapy for you as well? Like, is that ever like a conduit for you?
The movement itself?
Movement, but just like being a part of that art of acting and dancing.
Oh, absolutely. I think one of the greatest gifts is that I went to an acting. I think it's one of the biggest gifts I went to an acting focused school, because one, the physical place that I was in at that point, I couldn't handle hours and hours of dance that day. Acting got me out of the headspace that there's a right way to do something. And I had like a mini panic attack like my freshman year. They're like, Sophia, you just need to relax. I'm like, you don't understand. I have to get this right. I have to do this right. And people tell me, you just need to relax. No, it's like, what? Okay, you want to massage my shoulders? I mean, like, what does that even mean? Just need a like, okay. But like, so much of my acting training was focused on breath work. I did Tai Chi in my freshman year of college. I did Alexander technique, which is Alexander is like not massage. It's a suggestive kind of like placement of, like a teacher will sometimes place their hands over your face and like encourage you to relax the muscles of your face. So much breath. Stimulation. 100%. It's like so much breath stuff. It like my entire first year was about breathing. Like whole first year. And I realized how much my breath sits very high. There's tons of tightness in my lower back and my ribs. And like, I was so obsessed with getting it right. And I knew that I could not get it right in college. And I knew that just as much as like healing from any sort of illness is not pretty, healing from that sort of vocal restriction is, like, in both a spiritual way, shutting down your voice and your ability to speak is one of the most liberating things when you finally let yourself speak. But for sure, so going back to the movement piece, I had that same relationship with dance. I'm gonna get this right. I'm gonna get the perfect line. I'm gonna get the perfect plie. I'm gonna turn and boom, land, you know? And I didn't have that crutch anymore. I wasn't taking as many dance classes because I was so thin, I was so tense. My ligaments were the only things holding me up. So I had no rebound. My tendons were so tight. So my dance looked like shit, so I couldn't do perfect dance.
Mm-hmm. Was that an epiphany for you in terms of another step forward in helping you deal with it? What's that final scientific intrinsic proof of, hey, this disorder, it's not positive in any way, and it's hampering.
Freshman year of college, when I realized that it's my life and nobody else's. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No one else's. I'm not living my life for anybody else. I'm living it for me and the world that I want to see and the world I want to create. So I need to be the best vessel and version of myself in order to go out there and do it.
Who do you think you will live that life for?
Oh, jeez. That's a great question. Well, in my family, I mean, I just wanted to make everybody happy. I wanted to have everything put together. Was always the person to have it all together. Sophia's going to be fine. Sophia's okay. She's strong. She's mature. Someone called me mature for my age, and I hate that. I hate that. It's because it's like, yeah, because I learned that that's how you survive, you know? Right, exactly. So it's like, okay, I got to college. I'm not at home. I'm not with my brother. I'm not with my mom, my dad. So this is now my life. Oh, wait, I can do this for myself. Because there was almost like a, let me just stick it to you guys and let me show you how good I can be at being ill. Like, you're not going to take this away from me. So that when I went to college, it was like, okay, wait a second. I don't need that anymore. I don't need that. I can heal and move forward. And so Syracuse is like one of the biggest party schools ever. And I was very socially stunted. So I was surrounded by like people going out in tight skirts, like thigh-high boots and a bra on Thursday nights. And I'm like, I don't even want to do any of that. So it was like culture shock up the wazoo. And I'm like, at first I was like, I shouldn't be here. I should be at like a pretty little, you know, local school that has like no people and it's like a liberal arts college. And I'm like, no, I need to be in a big university. I need to be in a big university. I need to like, you know, bring my life back. I need to reignite my life force. So when the physical healing started was the weightlifting. Because when you are lifting weights, you are quite literally heavier. If you are deadlifting 225 pounds, you are 225 pounds heavier than you were when you were not lifting up that weight. So every time I leave the gym, I feel grounded. Groundedness is one of the biggest, it's very difficult for me to feel emotionally grounded, physically grounded. So if I'm lifting heavy weight, if I'm squatting, I will feel such a difference in my mind and my body versus a squat number one of a session versus the last one. Squat number one's like really timid, my ankles are tight, my knees are tight, my lower back is tight, and I'm like, oh my God, what the hell is going on? And then by the time it's like let yourself move, Sophia. You know how to do this. You know how to move. Trust yourself. So weightlifting and built the trust, and then the weightlifting served the dance again. So after I took a dance class, after I started weightlifting, I'm like, holy shit, I can jump so high. I was like, wee, you know, like I can jump, I feel grounded, like my body's moving in cool new ways, because I'm like, oh, these are my traps. Oh, I know what people are talking about. It's like when someone tells me to engage my core, it's like, oh, I know what that means. They're telling me to bring the top of my pelvis to my hip bone. And but I know that now. I can connect to that now. You know, like one of the most powerful things you can do is feel the difference when you're like hitting any sort of like back movement, and then you just stand up straighter just because you've hit that, or any sort of chest opener. And then you know, you just feel like friggin' the Godfather sitting on his throne, and you're just like showing off and just being that presence that dance teachers would always tell me, open up, show off your chest. I'm like, I literally don't know what that means. And then so weightlifting opened that door. That was that door.
So weightlifting, what it also does with any sort of mental imbalance is it works on what's called neuroplasticity.
Yep.
It grows new neurons. So physiologically, it works with pretty much every single addiction, because instead of being addicted into a particular pattern, you're being proactive. You're doing positive things. You're building skeletal muscle mass, and both of you in the industry know what skeletal muscle mass does. It's not just about being buff. It also increases your bone density, your endocrine system, which is directly responsible to having any sort of cerebral imbalances. And I know this being neurodivergent. I have ADHD, OCD, complex PTSD. I had Tourette syndrome I still have tics. I have a bunch of things. Let's just say, and that's not even getting started into the substance abuse issues that I have.
Right.
But it's physically, you're spending the energy that you would on negative, quote unquote, resources such as these negative patterns into actually transmuting them into positive flows, getting stronger. And then you're like, hey, I actually look good. So what you're doing is that's a kryptonite to that demon. Because that's you know, that energetic demon, which is
you know what else is interesting? Is weightlifting also, I found, mirrored my therapy, because all you can focus on is the next rep. Because if you're focusing on rep 12 at rep number 3, your next 9 are probably going to be shit, you know, versus, and also being so kind of like, if you're like feeling it, and mind body awareness, like there it is now, I'm loving my body again, because I was so disconnected from this, right? Now it's like, let's say, I don't know, I was doing the ab crunch machine today. Like, let's say I'm doing that and I'm like, Sophia, these reps are shit. And it's like, oh, but you're supposed to hit 4 sets today. And it's like, what's that extra set gonna do? I'm moving like shit. So, but it's like you have, it was like, now I have bodily awareness to know when it's time to stop. And if I respect that, now I'm giving my body permission to be like, I've listened to you when you told me it was enough. I listened. I'm listening now. You know, and then it's no longer a punishment. You're not punishing yourself. Like when you're on the Stairmaster, I remember when I would get on the Stairmaster, I'd be like, oh my God, I have to do an hour on the Stairmaster today. But like when you go in, you can only lift so much for wherever your body is at that day. We all have good days and not so good days, where your technique starts to break down, where your central nervous system maybe is just absolutely shot and you just can't do it. And then giving yourself permission, then the numbers become a point of respect of yourself. It's like, okay, no, I let myself stop at 6 because I knew that if I went to 12, I was going to feel like ass tomorrow. And then I know that if I'm in the business of longevity, this is not feeding longevity. This is feeding ego. It's feeding ego. It's feeding central nervous system fatigue. It's feeding tendons and ligaments being tight, not being able to heal. Right, exactly.
I have to, which are 3 of the worst words in human gains and the challenge. I get a lot of clients, and they have that I have to mentality.
I literally did not take a single rest day the entire summer of between my senior year of high school and my freshman year of college.
You do yourself more harm than good.
Oh, for sure.
And so what I do is within the first session, have them switch the I have to mentality to I get to.
Yes.
And when you have that I get to, you open up this new energetic container where things just begin to flow and you naturally want to be there, want to work out. Look at the fittest, most badass people in the gym. You think they don't want to be there? They want to be there. They can have their $500 an hour lawyer job. All they're concentrating on is like, hey, I want to get this lifted. Sometimes it's too much, you get obsessive. But switching that I get to is I learned to myself is just such an important ally to have in your...
Going on training philosophy too. I went down the hypertrophy, Dr. Mike Israetel, Jared Feather, Evan Holmes rabbit hole. And I hated lifting. I was like, this is so boring. This sucks. You're telling me I need to do a 4-second negative? Are you fucking kidding me? But it was like paralysis by analysis. And then there it is, the perfectionism again. I got to get the perfect program. I got to get the perfect this, the perfect that. And it's like, for sure, science has of course, like physical training and all this stuff. It's a science, right? We're all here for the science. But if you can have the perfect program and it can be absolutely perfect on paper and it will not be perfect for you because you hate it. And if you hate going to the gym every day, you're going to be like, here's me doing this, I hate it. You're not going to lift hard, you're not going to feel good, it's not going to be exciting, and you're not going to stick to it. So after I went through the paralysis by analysis awfulness, I completely shifted my training philosophy to what do I want to do right now? What just makes me excited? I turn myself away from certain machines at the gym because it's oh, that's not the optimal angle. It's yeah, but it could be really freaking fun, throwing around kettlebells is just fun. You could just have a day to do crazy kettlebell cleans and Olympic lifts and take a group fitness class because it's fun. And training has literally taught me so many life lessons and mirrored and just so many wonderful things. I just started a program 2 weeks ago and then I got at the end of it and I'm I hate this. I'm so bored. I literally was this is so boring. I don't like this. I want to be doing something else. And then that's when also the gains started to come, was when I shifted that, And I was oh shoot, I'm actually excited and I'm doing fun things and now I'm actually seeing the things that I want to see.
Sophia, as we come to the end of the podcast, can you give us 3 pieces of I like to ask my guests to just leave us with some sagacity, some wisdom. Clearly, every word you said is knowledgeable, it's real. So you're not just scientific about it, you've also experienced and very real about it. 3 pieces of advice that could be, what factual, they could be metaphorical, that you could give specifically, if I may add, to people right now, and with just the current climate and everything, which is a huge exacerbation for addiction and for mental illness. If you could give 3 techniques or advice or anything from your vast wealth of knowledge to help people break the negative cycle, to go in the...
Oh, man.
Any 3 here.
Oh, man. Not the tough questions. Listen, my last cup of coffee was at 5:30 a.m. this morning. My infinite wealth of knowledge is now being depleted. No, I'm kidding. Let's see. 3 pieces. The only person you need to be living life for is you. And it's not selfish. It's that you make yourself the most optimal specimen to then give back to everybody else around you. You can't pour from an empty cup. So that is you need to take care of yourself first, in whatever that means to you. Because I ate breakfast this morning, because I lifted this morning, because I got dressed and took a shower this morning, I can sit here and have a conversation with you, right? And so that wasn't selfish for me to do that. That was I want to not have low blood sugar like that person did that you were training who couldn't do an assault bike, but it's I don't want to have low blood sugar because I want to be present with these 2 people who I care about. So that's number 1. Number 2, healing is not linear at all. And it can look like a lot of different things, and regressions and setbacks are inevitable, and they're necessary. And it can be real hard to see that when things feel like they're falling apart, they actually might be falling into place. So there's that one. And then the third one is, like, oh gosh. First thing that kind of comes to my mind is just like embracing authenticity. You're enough exactly the way that you are. I'm a little tired right now. You know, it's like my little midday crash. And in the back of my head, I'm like, Sophia, you could have been more eloquent. You could have been more this, or you could have been more that. And it's like, no, the realness is actually coming from the fact that I am tired and that I still decided to show up today. And I might listen to this over again and be like, oh, you should have said that, and you should have said that. But all that's telling me is I now have a piece of myself that I need to love a little harder. So.
Beautiful.
Lovely. And, before we end, just a couple of people I want to shout out and thank. I definitely want to shout out and thank Andy, our cameraman, for
love you, Andy,
helping us out here and helping us all look wonderful. I want to shout out Ray. And if you guys can, I'm not one who, I will use CBD products. But I want to shout out Ray and his store, Brooklyn Organic Buds. If you guys can make it over here, check it out. Check out what he has here.
The best, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Someone that is privy to cannabis products for many years has advocated for its legalization. I could tell you that Brooklyn Organic Buds is lit.
Yeah. So I just want to shout out, and I want to shout out Andre, want to shout out Sophia for just making themselves available today. This was wonderful.
Thank you, guys.
And
So nice.
when I met Sophia, I've known Sophia for a little while now, but Sophia's energy was undeniable. So I was like, we got to have her on the show. And in sadder news, I want to shout out and give a rest in peace to a colleague of mine that unfortunately lost his life Friday night. And when I say colleague, not from my training job, but from my other job. And sadly, he was murdered, and they're still in pursuit of the suspect. So I'm just sending love and good vibes towards his family right now, and just hope they can feel and experience that healing pretty soon. All right, so this is the I Choose Health podcast and High Chi Fitness.
High Chi Fitness.
And just reminding you that choosing health is about choosing power, possibility, and purpose.
And remember, whenever you think that you've come to your limit, no, you didn't.
Welcome to week 30 of 52 Choices. What if just 3 minutes a day could lower your stress, sharpen your focus, and even rewire your brain for calm? That's exactly what meditation does, and science backs it up. Studies from Harvard and Stanford show that even short daily meditation sessions reduce activity in the amygdala, the part of your brain responsible for fear and stress, while strengthening the prefrontal cortex, the region linked to focus, emotional control, and decision making. You don't have to be a monk on a mountain to benefit. Just sit comfortably, close your eyes, and focus on your breath. When your mind wanders, because it will, gently bring it back. Apps like Headspace, Calm, or Insight Timer can guide you through short, easy sessions. After a week, you might notice you're less reactive and more centered. After a month, that calm becomes your default setting. This week's choice, set aside 3 to 5 minutes every day for stillness, because peace of mind isn't something you find, it's something you practice.